So this video here is all about mapping out your journey as a course creator, as someone who sells courses. So enjoy the video. It is a whole journey system on how you get people in, scaling up to the next thing, and also how you would utilize Wisdom's features and functionality to support that. Welcome to our Aussie Summer series on YouTube. So this series that we're sharing over the coming weeks is just snippets from our onboarding session. And I'm breaking this up because I know this is the time of the year that we all tend to sort of look at planning our ideas, thinking about what we're doing. And I wanted to break this up so you could watch it in easy, amounts of time rather than a whole hour. But also allowing you basically, if you're a coach, well, watch the coaching one. If you are running a membership, watch the membership one. Course creator, etc., etc. And the reason I'm broken it up is so you can actually get a good indication of probably the best way to map your offer in the sense of running a business, where you house everything, where you deliver everything, how you get people to come in. The one place, the tool belt that you need to run your business. So I invite you to come along, watch these short videos and have a quick sneak peek inside how you can utilize these maps with Wisdom as well. So my name is Nikki Kelly. I am the founder of Wisdom and I hope you enjoy this series. So the next one is our course or learning map. So with respect to this, there are 4 points here, but when it comes to the learning map, we have to sort of look at, in a sense, there's two different ways, right? You've got people who sell courses and they just sell it off to people. They're self-paced and there's no touch point between you and the learner. You're just selling these low ticket courses and you get people who do that, and that's totally fine. That's their jam. And yet while they're doing that, they're building a community, right? So there is always something that they're building on the side. So I know there's a lot of people who sit there and use this word passive income, which I don't believe in, but they think that, selling a little mini course is the thing and they don't have to do anything. No, they're still doing stuff. So this is going to touch a little bit on that, right? So when you are building out a course and you're thinking about how you're going to deliver that course, well, obviously, and this isn't going to tell you how to create a course. This is just showing you the process in that learning map. But you're creating the course first. So you might have modules, lessons, etc. Right? So this is all a part of what the course is actually going to be. And with respect to the course, you're thinking about things of how you're going to deliver it. Now, in the mapping process, there's internal, which is your Wisdom platform, and then there's external, and there's things that you've got to prepare and plan for outside and then bring it into Wisdom. And the things that you might want to prepare outside and think about are things like, are you going to record videos for your lessons? Are you going to, create quizzes, particular resources, things like that you're going to implement into Wisdom? That's a part of that initial planning process. Then you're going to think about, well, am I going to run this course where they just utilize the course and that's it? You might do that and that's totally fine. But my suggestion is, if you want to utilize the people in your system, they're there. Then bring them into live calls. Now, the live call doesn't necessarily have to be on that course. It could just be, hey, I'm online, I'm in our system once a week, once a month, and I want you to come in and chat with me. Ask me questions about your course. If you've got courses, ask me questions about the community. But at least they know there's activity happening. And what happens is a lot of people tend to, they'll have those courses there. They might sell a $79 course, let's say, and they'll go in, they check out their course, etc. But if they see a notification, oh, there's an event happening, they might go, oh, you know what, I'm going to check out the event because I like what I'm learning. See what's happening. And then when they come to an event such as this live call, Q&A, things like that, they start falling in love with you even more. They see what's happening live in your community and they will buy more. Or if you're not trying to build a community necessarily and you're trying to sell more courses, this too, again, is where you can offer more ideas, answer those questions, but also let them know, well, once you've done this course, if you really want to dive further into something else, I suggest going to this course, or I actually have this other course, or I have this program. They're just extra ways to sell, internally rather than just externally. So connecting, having those live calls are really important, I believe. And I think a lot of people just tend to miss that opportunity when they sell their, low ticket price courses. They just sell it, they have it on the platform and that's it. And they rely on their socials and things like that to bring people in again. No, once I'm in a system and I'm learning a course, I want to know more about what's happening inside. Who's teaching me? That teacher, what are they doing? That expert, I want to know more about them. So having that action, that activity happening inside the platform is really important, I believe, anyway. Then using your access levels. Now, this is what I mentioned a little bit earlier about having, like you might have the first lesson as a preview. This is where you're showcasing a course. And let's say you might be charging a course, let's say $79, like I said, and then the next one up might be $799. Well, you might want to showcase a little bit about that $7.99 to give them sort of an indication of how much information you give, or the details that you have in there, or the resources, the potential that they could learn out of that. So if you open the door to maybe just the first lesson or the first module, whatever, then they've got that momentum, they've got that indication, this is what I'm going to learn. Okay, well, I can just keep going. All right, fine, I'll buy it. There's sort of that psychology behind it. So you can do that here with the access levels, managing and understanding how you can really just use the access levels in our system to really help you market your products. Access level just isn't about protecting your content. Use the access levels to your advantage in marketing. And that's where I said here, setting up that preview for public view. So I've already ticked that off. So if we go down a little bit deeper in this whole learning map, as I mentioned, it's pretty simple with respect to this, but you've obviously got your planning process. You're planning out the learning outcomes. You're mapping out your module structure, and you're outlining the lesson sequence, and then you're choosing the lesson types. Now, the lesson types actually is just with respect to, like I mentioned a bit earlier, how are you going to teach that information? Is it going to be an interactive lesson? So are you going to incorporate a quiz in there? Is it going to be a directive? Is it going to be an informative? Like there's different types of lessons that you're teaching. So in that respect, you might have a video where it's directing people. You're really showcasing, you're giving that animation and people really absorb it. And they're like, okay, so this is what I have to do. Cool, done. I go off and do it. Or it could be quiz, getting in there, that interaction, or that informative of this is what you need to know. So think of what the lesson type is. Then the build, obviously thinking about how you're going to build out that course, like I mentioned a bit earlier. And then launching it, giving your access levels, creating for public view, the connection stripe, etc., and then really testing the experience that your member's going to have. So you might go in there as someone who doesn't have access to the course, but you want to see how it's previewed. It could be someone who has access to the course so they can see how it flows. It's pretty generic. And then thinking about the engagement style, the in the moment engagement, the post, the potential for further engagement. And the types of engagement, like I've mentioned here, you could have your live Q&A, you could be having announcements, you could be monitoring progress. How's everyone going? It could be responding to questions. That's the Q&As. And then optimizing what you have. And that really does come part of, letting people see their wins. So with our system, obviously we've got a progress bar. They can see where they're finished and they get a certificate at the end, things like that. So we really want to push that too. That's some part, I think a lot of people do forget that as well when it comes to selling courses. We want to celebrate their win for completing the course. We want to, obviously with our system, when they complete a course, they get a little certificate that says, yay, you've completed, that sort of thing. But that is just a small portion of it. You stepping in, and this kind of responds to that engagement side of things, to see that progress of how people are going, asking that question, how's everyone going? Who completed their course this week? What did you get out of it? What was the win? People love celebrating their wins. We go to, networking events quite often, and usually there is that question, how is everyone going? What's your challenge? What's your win this week? We love that because it gives us that endorphin. Like we just need that. So making sure that you optimize on the learning experience is really, really important as well, without just, having a course up there and leaving it be. No, acknowledge, recognize that people have actually made the achievement of finalizing a course that they invested in. Very important. Thank you so much for watching this video. Do remember to like and subscribe. It does help our channel, and I will be putting more and more videos out there. So I'll see you in the next one. Take care.